The next shooting he brought up was the Aurora Theater shooting, blamed on Jared Lee Loughner. Notice his name in Jewish gematria sums to 1130. What's significant there is the 113 coding, which is a number that also shows up routinely in the shooting hoaxes. The word Scottish, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the branch of Freemasonry that dominates our government, has gematria of 113, 113. The word mainstream equals 113. The word dishonest equals 113. Perjury 113. Green screen 113. A word, a number of deception. A number that gets coded again and again. Other things interesting about his name. Excuse me, Truth Seeker. I said that this was the Aurora, Colorado shooter. I take it back. That's James Egan Holmes. Jared Lee Loughner is who shot Gabby Giffords in Arizona. So this is the Arizona Gabby Giffords shooting. Excuse me. With regards to him shooting Gabrielle Giffords, notice that Gabrielle is a name with 44 gematria. That kill number, 44. Abraham was a name with 44 gematria. Giffords, a name with 48 gematria. In simple English, though, Giffords sums to 84, just like Arizona, where she was shot, just like the name Obama in Jewish gematria. United States of America also equals 84. Obama's birthday is August 4th. I think Arizona is a prototype state, meaning they practice things that they plan for doing on a bigger national agenda. I really think the Gabby Giffords shooting, well, I know for a fact it was a hoax. If you go back and look at the images from that day and look at the testimony of what supposedly happened, the pictures don't line up. There's a young Mexican man who was supposedly Gabby Giffords' brand new staffer. It was his first day on the job. He supposedly who saved her life. If you watch the testimony, the story is that he was all covered in blood from holding pressure on her head where she was bleeding. You know, they went and told this story on TV that this guy, you know, he saved Gabby Giffords' life. But then if you go and look at the images from that day, Gabby Giffords has a little tiny bath towel, like the kind you'd use to dry off your hands on her head, with a circle of blood that's maybe 1 inch in diameter. And the Mexican young man who supposedly saved her life is showing, standing around, no blood on him, nothing. Meanwhile, the story on TV is that he was covered in blood, putting pressure on her head, saving her life. The pictures tell a totally different story. What Gabby Giffords has done is gone before the nation and lived out a lie, pretending to not know how to speak, pretending to relearn how to speak. This is all part of an act. Our politicians are actor agents. Barack Obama, that's not even his real name. Gabby Giffords, that's probably not even her real name. I also point out that Gabrielle has name gematria of 71. When you write out 71 as a word in Summit, it sums to 144. Hoaxes by the numbers. Okay, so here's James Egan Holmes. This is the shooter in Aurora. Notice that the name James Egan Holmes equals 58, just like the word Freemasonry. Sandy Hook equals 58. Since this theater shooting in Aurora, there's been one in Lafayette, Louisiana, and Antioch, Tennessee, and both of those shootings were heavily coded with the number 58. Ford's Theater, where Lincoln was assassinated, had gematria of 58, and before Lincoln was assassinated, he was nearly killed at Willard Hotel, which also has gematria of 58. Now, I want you to think about how Obama reopened Ford's Theater with this gematria of 58 at the beginning of his presidency, and there's been 3 major theater shootings in the media, all coded with the same number since. To me, this reveals part of the ongoing programming, prepping us for what's to come. The name James Holmes without the middle name equals 39, another important number to this nation's history. The date of the shooting had 39 numerology, no coincidence there. James Egan Holmes with the S exception sums to 76, the reflection of 67, like Aurora, Colorado, a number also connected to Freemasonry. Freemasonry equals 67 with the S exception. Colorado is also the 38th state. In gematria, it sums to 38. The word death equals 38. Perfect setting for a story of killing. This shooting also came 147 days before the Sandy Hook shooting. 147, another one of these numbers that they like to code. The next incident Obama mentioned was the 2012 Oak Creek shooting. This was in Wisconsin, a racial hate story, shooting at a Muslim place of worship. The date of this shooting was August 5th. August 5th, 2015 was the date of the third theater shooting in Antioch, Tennessee. 8-5 can be written, or August 5th can be written 5/8 or 8/5. Again, Freemasonry 58. The shooting was in Oak Creek, having gematria of 33. Wisconsin, one of only two states with a gematria of 44. The kill number, the other is Georgia. Nebraska can also sum to 44 if you use the S and K exception. What was shot at has gematria of 46 and 55, like the word sacrifice, also like racial hatred. The big emphasis in the story was that it was based on racial hatred. Also, in simple English gematria, Sikh temple sums to 118, like the word death in Jewish gematria. Another story of death. The shooter's name was Wade Michael Page. Michael, a name with 33 gematria Pythagorean. Wade, a name with 33 gematria simple English. His whole name in simple English gematria sums to 113, like mainstream, dishonest, Scottish. 68, also a number that shows up around death. In this nation, in the year 68, MLK was assassinated, RFK was assassinated. Also a special year, 911 made the National Emergency Dialing Code, World Trade Center construction began, Space Odyssey 2001 came out, George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones, the Masonic Order. He would become president 33 years later, the same year that the buildings would come crumbling to the ground. Think about it, 911, World Trade Centers. This shows how long things are planned out in this nation, Truth Seeker. 911 planned out for more than 30 years. Don't take my word for it. Take Bob Kerry's word for it, who said that as a 9/11 commissioner. He said it's a conspiracy that no one will ever get to the bottom of, planned for more than 30 years. In this story, they said 7 were killed, 4 were injured, 7-4, a lot like 74, like Masonic. Sandy Hook, probably the most psychologically traumatizing of them all because it was a story of so many young children being killed without motive. Another story that made no sense. Remember, they arrested the shooter's brother in New York in a different state. The first parent to go before the media to tell the story of what happened, Robbie Parker, he was smiling. He was already promoting his Facebook page where people could donate money to help his family. That's what else is going on in the wake of all these shooting hoaxes. That's the new thing, to put out a GoFundMe page or donate to my Facebook page. Not only are they duping the American people, they're asking them to give them their hard-earned money that's already been taxed to support the lies. Anyhow, this guy's name was Robbie Parker. Notice that Robbie, Robert, and Parker, all names with 33 gematria. No coincidence. Just like Newtown equals 33. And Newtown breaks down to all 5s except for the T and O. If you're new here, you just compress letters. N's the 14th letter. 1 plus 4 is 5. E's the 5th letter. W's the 23rd letter. 2 plus 3 is 5. So 5, 5, 5. Then T's the 20th letter. 2 plus 0 is 2. O's the 15th letter. 1 plus 5 is 6. So notice it's all 5s and a 2 and a 6. And they said 26 people were killed in Newtown, 33 land. The land of the nation's second biggest gun lobby behind the NRA. And the NRA in simple English gematria equals 33 as well. No coincidence. Numbers of the Masons, it's the Masons who run the show in this nation. Newtown, Connecticut happens to sum to 79, so does the word murder. Story of mass murder of children. The report put out about it was 44 pages, no coincidence, the kill number. Adam Lanza, the person blamed, there's a form of gematria where you drop the vowels. So if you drop the A's from the name Lanza, it becomes LNZ. L's the 12th letter, N's the 14th. The shooting was on 12/14, December 14th. Z's the 26th letter, they said 26 dead. Plus, if you add the date, 12 plus 14, it also equals 26. No coincidence. Prior to the shooting, Dr. H. Wayne Carver, a name that sums to 93 like propaganda, he submitted legislation. Remember, he's the medical examiner, the guy who was laughing and acting all kinds of goofy. Go back and watch the videos of Dr. H. Wayne Carver. I have a video on it if you have not seen him. A real clown. Anyway, the day he submitted his proposal, which became law in Connecticut, that child autopsies do not need to be disclosed to the public, he did that on a date with 58 numerology, the number of Freemasonry. Sandy Hook also has the gematria of 58. No coincidence, evidence of the planning. They do it by the numbers. You learn this language, you see through the lies. The next shooting hoax he brought up was the Washington Navy Yard shooting. Some interesting gematria here. Washington Navy Yard shooting has gematria of 131 and 149. 131 reminds me of John F. Kennedy. His name equaled 131. In the Zapruder film, it's slide 313 that shows his head exploding. No coincidence. This is how the Masons do it, by the numbers. I mean, what are the odds of Mr. 131 and the slide of his head blowing up being 313? Add those numbers together, it sums to 444, like Masonic in English gematria, a film made by the Masons. Also gematria of 149, like Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, the Masonic order. Many people in high places are a part of, including George W. Bush, the 43rd president, with a life number of 33, born July 6, 1946. The date this event happened, September 16, 2013, a date with 58 numerology. One of the biggest shootings reported in the media after Sandy Hook. Remember, back at this time, they weren't to a shooting a week pace. They were more spaced out. Now we've just become so numb to them because they give them to us every week. Obama was accusing us of being numb to them. Well, that's because we're getting bombarded with this propaganda every week. What are we supposed to do as a people? It's all conditioning. Date also with 22 numerology, like the gematria of Aaron. They said the shooter's name was Aaron Alexis. Also, date numerology of 38, like the word death. Newtown, Connecticut, written out this way, has gematria of 38. They brought up Newtown, Connecticut after this shooting, even though they're not related at all. Just like Obama did yesterday. Shooter's name, Aaron Alexis, having gematria of 47 and 56, just like the word president. Also like the word Star of David, the symbol of the Zionists, the symbol that's been on our money for longer than the nation of Israel has existed, which uses the Star of David as their symbol. Should give you a clue about how things really work, you know. The world wars, all part of the Zionist agenda to create Israel. Nation founded by Jewish bankers who financed the American Revolutionary War. Aaron Alexis in simple English gematria. Aaron equals 49, just like Washington. The shooting's in Washington, D.C. Alexis, 70, put it together, it sums to 119, like all-seeing eye, like Star of David. They said Aaron Alexis killed 13 people. The shooting lasted 69 minutes. Notice the shooter was black, has this president coating. First black man in the Oval Office in the time of all these crazy stories. All a setup. I knew that before Obama became president. I said, oh, of course, they're going to give us the first black president when the nation's never been a bigger mess before. And I saw how they would just use it, you know, the propaganda, fueling all the divisions that already exist in this nation, racial division. So obvious if you're awake what's going on here. Just gets worse and worse every day.